A contactless payment is a wireless financial transaction in which the customer makes a purchase by moving a security token in close proximity to the vendor's point of sale, POS, reader. Popular security tokens for contactless payment include chip-enabled bank cards and smartphone digital wallet apps. Contactless payments can also be referred to as touch-free, tap and go, or proximity payments. When goods or services are purchased through a contactless payment, the process can then be referred to as a frictionless checkout. Contactless payments are known for being secure because the customer does not share billing or payment information directly with the vendor. Instead, all communication is encrypted, and each purchase is tokenized with a one-time transaction number. Should a wireless transmission be intercepted, the only information the attacker will get is the one-time code that was used to identify a particular transaction. The adoption of contactless payment was accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic and a desire for consumers to avoid person-to-person contact when making in-store purchases. The U.S. Payments Forum and EMV, named for the organizations that established it, Europay, MasterCard and Visa, are responsible for setting the technical standards for smart payment cards as well as for the POS readers that accept them. Frictionless checkouts are supported by NFC, radio frequency identification, RFID, magnetic secure transmission and quick response code standards. Most retailers in the U.S. accept some form of contactless payment. Visa, MasterCard, and American Express offer contactless-enabled bank cards, while Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, and Venmo are among the most popular digital and mobile wallet apps for smartphones. How do contactless payments work? Contactless payment cards and authorized mobile devices have an embedded RFID microchip, transponder, and antenna. To make a purchase, the customer must be in close proximity to the vendor's reader. Neither Apple Pay nor Google Pay processes or authorizes transactions. Instead, they tokenize the shopper's payment card and simply pass that information onto the appropriate credit card network. The microchips used in contactless payments generate new verification values each time a card or authorized device is used in a transaction. This approach is very different from how magnetic stripe cards transmit data. With a traditional magnetic card, the customer's billing information is transmitted to the card reader each time the card is swiped. That information can be intercepted and used by another person, or perhaps sold on the dark web. When a transaction is conducted wirelessly, however, the only information that can be intercepted is the unique authentication code that identifies that specific transaction has occurred. Because a new code is generated each time a chip card is used, it is very difficult for thieves to clone the card and try to make purchases. The dynamic authentication technology is simply not capable of being duplicated in a manner that will return the same dynamic codes as those that a valid chip card would return. In addition, smartphones have added security methods for initiating contactless payments, for example, requiring the user to authenticate their identity via a method such as facial recognition. What benefits do contactless payments offer? Aside from improved security, contactless payments can improve checkout speed. These payments take less time than standard credit card payments and are faster than cash transactions. This makes them a good fit for micropayments and other low-dollar value purchases. Contactless payment methods can also increase throughput for public transportation turnstiles, parking garage checkout terminals and road tolls. Although the actual amount of time saved per transaction might be less than a minute, the minutes saved can add up and significantly reduce the time customers spend waiting in lines. As contactless payment technology gains acceptance, non-traditional banking institutions and third-party payment providers such as PayPal have begun to experiment with ways to improve frictionless checkout. For example, some payment providers offer GPS technology to help mobile customers locate ATMs. Other providers let customers opt into loyalty promotions conducted through targeted geofenced campaigns. Contactless payment systems are credit cards and debit cards, key FOBS, smart cards, or other devices, including smartphones and other mobile devices, that use radio frequency identification, RFID, or near-field communication, NFC, for making secure payments. The embedded integrated circuit chip and antenna enable consumers to wave their card, fob, or handheld device over a reader at the point-of-sale terminal. Contactless payments are made in close physical proximity, unlike other types of mobile payments which use broad area cellular or Wi-Fi networks and do not involve close physical proximity. EMV, abbreviation for Europay, MasterCard, and Visa, is a common standard used by major credit card and smartphone companies for use in general commerce. Contactless smart cards that function as stored value cards are becoming popular for use as transit system fare cards, such as the Oyster card, London, UK, or Rio card, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. These can often store non-currency value, such as monthly passes, in addition to fare value purchased with cash or electronic payment. Apple Pay on iPhones and Google Pay on Android mobile phones are common forms of contactless payments used. These types of payments use tokenization, which encapsulates a card issuer's details within the mobile phone. Some suppliers claim that transactions can be almost twice as fast as a conventional cash, credit, or debit card purchase. Because no signature or PIN verification is typically required, contactless purchases are usually limited to small value sales. Lack of authentication provides a window during which fraudulent purchases can be made while the card owner is unaware of the card's loss. Major financial institutions and multinational corporations now offer contactless payment systems to customers as contactless credit cards have become widespread in the US, UK, Japan, Germany, Canada, Australia, France, the Netherlands, etc., as consumers are likely to spend more money using their cards due to the ease of small transactions. With contactless cards growing in numbers and percentages of adoption, the number of payments by this method had increased significantly since the spending limit was raised. Purchases made by card now surpass those made by cash and account for approximately one-third of all card transactions in countries like the UK. Contactless payments specifically have become increasingly popular, accounting for 4 out of 5 point-of-sale credit card purchases in Australia as of 2019. Card issuers indicate that they will increase the availability of contactless cards to consumers. As of October 2021, there are over 142 million contactless-enabled cards and over 147,000 terminals in use in the UK alone. Visa estimated that there would be 300 million contactless cards issued in the US by the end of 2020, up from the predicted 100 million at the end of 2019. Adoption and usage. Google Pay is an application for devices running Google's Android OS, which allows users to make purchases using NFC, which initially required a physical secure element, but this was replaced by host card emulation, which was introduced in Android 4.4, KitKat. Soft Card, formerly known as ISIS Mobile Wallet, CitiZai and QuickTap wallets, for example, use a secure SIM card to store encrypted personal information. Contactless payments with enabled mobile phones still occur on a small scale, but every month an increasing number of mobile phones are certified. In 2012, MasterCard advisors wrote that consumers are likely to spend more money using their cards due to the ease of small transactions. MasterCard Canada says it has seen about 25% higher spending by users of its MasterCard contactless brand RFID credit cards. As of December 2014, there were approximately 58 million contactless-enabled cards in use in the UK, and over 147,000 terminals in use. By June 2017, purchases made by card surpassed those made by cash. This was reported to have been driven by the rise in contactless payments, which accounted for approximately one-third of all card transactions in the UK. The number of payments by this method had increased significantly since the spending limit was raised from £20 to £30. In 2018, contactless payments made up around 19% of transactions in the UK. In 2018, the Westpac Banking Corporation in Australia revealed contactless payment statistics from 2017 and claimed in the report that contactless payments approached saturation point by being used in over 90% of purchases. The Australian St. George Bank reported 94.6% usage for the same period. Recent statements by Visa and other U.S. card issuers indicate that they will increase the availability of contactless cards to U.S. consumers. Visa estimates there will be 300 million contactless cards issued in the U.S. by the end of 2020, up from the predicted 100 million at the end of 2019 as announced on its 2018 Q4 earnings call. Telecom operators are starting to get involved in contactless payments via the use of NFC-enabled phones. Belgacom's PingPing, for example, has a stored value account and via a partnership with Alcatel-Lucent's TouchATOG provides contactless payment functionalities. Major financial entities now offering contactless payment systems include MasterCard, China UnionPay, Citibank, JP Morgan Chase, American Express, KeyBank, Barclays, Barclaycard, HSBC, Lloyds Banking Group, FreedomPay, Rupee, the Cooperative Bank, Nationwide Building Society and NatWest Group. Visa PayWave, MasterCard Contactless, and American Express Pay are examples of contactless credit cards which have become widespread in the US and UK. There are three main standard usages for contactless payments adopted throughout payment terminals with the EMV standard. On issued bank cards, a smart chip or cryptographic chip is placed on the card known as a smart card, which allows wireless payments to be made from the EMV chip in range of a payment terminal using RFID technology following the EMV CO standard. When the smart card is tapped against a payment terminal that authenticates the card issuer's details through a series of PIN interactions, the payment for the interaction will succeed. Tokenization. A newer approach to smart card technology is achieved by linking a smart card to a hardware device, such as through the Apple Pay application on an iPhone mobile phone, thereby allowing mobile devices the ability to make payments using RFID technology against a payment terminal on behalf of a smart card using a token generated by the card issuer, a process known as tokenization. A device account number, DAN, similar to a private account number, PAN, in traditional payment Stripe and chip cards, is generated along with a private key and sent to the card issuer during initial setup of the smart card on the hardware device. When payments are made via the respective approved application on the hardware device, the DAN and relevant details such as expiry date and CVV are sent to the card issuer via a payment terminal for cryptography, where the associated private key is then used to authorize the transaction. The Near Field Communication, NFC, compliant with ISO/IEC 14443 standard, technology in contactless cards uses a 13.56 MHz radio frequency technology that only transmits digital data within a concise range. Typically, the optimum distance is 4 cm or less. Beyond, the signal is rapidly decreasing and can never exceed 10 cm. In 2006, security researchers found that the cardholder's name, credit card number, and expiration date may be transmitted by contactless payment cards without encryption. They were able to use information leaked from a contactless credit card to make a purchase online, without opening the envelope in which the card was sent. Depending on the economic space, there may be a payment limit on single transactions without the need to input the PIN, and some contactless cards can only be used a certain number of times before customers are asked for their PIN. Contactless debit and credit transactions use the same chip and PIN network as older cards and are protected by the same fraud guarantees. Where PIN is supported, the contactless part of the card may remain non-functional until a standard chip and PIN transaction has been executed. This provides some verification that the card was delivered to the actual cardholder. Under fraud guarantee standards, U.S. banks are liable for any fraudulent transactions charged to the contactless cards. CVM limit. Because no signature or PIN verification is typically required, contactless purchases are often limited to a maximum amount per transaction, known as a cardholder verification limit, CVM limit. Limits vary between banks. For transactions over the defined CVM limit, a verification is usually required, e.g. PIN, signature, or biometric authentication. Transactions under the floor limit, in addition to not requiring consumer authentication, are also accepted without sending the transaction online for verification by the acquiring host. Thank you for watching this video.